Hi friends, it's Latte and welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to share with you a really exciting build that I'm doing. I'm going to be making an enchanted forest and nestling in a little fairy circle into it. So I'm really excited to have you join along with me. I'm going to pop up my inspiration photo just in a moment, but I was inspired by the butterfly captivity in the museum. I really love it, but it kind of freaks me out to go into it, I'm not gonna lie. So I wanted to capture that feeling and that like whimsicalness of the butterflies, but not actually having to go in and get freaked out by them. So that is my initial idea that I had for this. Of course, I talked over the actual showing of the space that I'm working with, but I decided to put the fairy circle and the forest next to the campsite so that way it could be a little bit more secluded. And as far as I was concerned, that was pretty much all that I had. So I've just started by putting down a bunch of trees just to fill out the space and make it a lot more foresty, and to try my very best to block off the campsite to the rest of the island to give it that more isolated feel. Majority of the trees that I'm putting down now and behind the full moon and the cliff is mostly just for aesthetic. I don't really want anybody to be able to go behind and through it, so I'm going to be putting down a bunch of decorations in between all the trees and trying my best to also block all of that off. Majority of this was just trial and error and putting down trees, picking them up again, and just trying to figure out what was the best way to put them all down while having it look nice and decent. Once I was happy with how everything was coming together, I made sure to also put down a bunch of design codes in between all of the trees, especially in the back of the cliff, because I didn't want to be destroying everything that I've just put down to go find some fossils or something like that. So I made sure to cover all of that. And now I'm just going in and decorating it and making it look as foresty and magical as I can. I only just recently obtained all of the mushroom DIYs because I restarted Opal in June, so it was already past autumn when I had finally decided to restart again. So I managed to trade and collect all of the mushroom DIY, so I heavily relied on that during this build. I also realized how much of an improvement it is having those specific items from the mushroom DIYs, like the mush lamp and the mush log and the low stools and everything, because those items just take your island to the next level if you have a fairy core theme. In terms of my color scheme for the Enchanted Forest area, I really wanted to use all of my purple flowers because when I think of Enchanted Forest or like magic, I think of purple. So I really wanted to use all of my purple mums in this area. Otherwise, I don't really have any other place to use them. I'm also using pink, white and blue with a little bit of yellow and orange thrown in throughout just to tie it into the rest of my island. And I think it came out pretty nicely too. Because this whole back area was going to be a backdrop for the actual fairy circle, I wanted to make it look as whimsical as I could and as pretty as I could. So that's why I was being pretty nitpicky about how I wanted everything to work out. I also really wanted to incorporate the Mario mushroom items into this build, so I did use a couple of the low platforms, but I'm not completely in love with them. They don't look as nice to me as the mush items from the DIYs. I feel like in this specific scenario they look a little bit too different to the other mush items, so maybe that's why I feel a little bit strange about using it. I think if it was in another theme or like in a different part of the island that wasn't so natural looking, I think it would work out pretty well. And of course, I'm using a bunch of star clocks to help it make it look a lot more magical. Maybe because I had just recently gotten the mushroom items just before I started the speed build, I was so much in love with them that I just wanted to keep using all of the mush lamps. So that's why, as you can see, I'm just constantly trying to use it. Also, even though this little walkway isn't actually a part of the main build, it is the bottom of the build, so I wanted to make sure that it looked nice and full before I actually worked on the main area, because this is going to be a segue into the next part of the island, so I wanted to make sure that it flowed all together. And now the actual fun part of this build begins, because my god, that setup took so long. So I'm now finally putting down a pathway that's going to lead up to the fairy circle, and this one that I'm using is a version of the path. I've used many of them so far, but I think this one is one of my favorite ones that I've used. I used to use another one that had little mushrooms on the edges of it when I had a more cottagecore island vibe. And that one was really nice and cute, but I feel like this one with the stone makes it look a lot more whimsical. The easiest way I find to make a winding path, if I know that I want it to be winding, is to go in with the middle square first and then kind of roughly shape it out the way that I want it to be, and then go in and put in the corner and the side pieces. Once I did the main path leading up, I'm now trying to figure out how to make a fairy circle, because originally I was just going in blind because I wasn't too sure how to do it, and I thought it'd be simple enough just to figure it out on my own. I was very foolish to think that. And it took me many tries because I was going off of images I found off of Pinterest that didn't actually show the squares on how to actually make it yet. So I was just blindly trying to figure out how to do this, and as you can see, I was struggling so hard. So in the end, I finally figured out for my photo that you need to do a vertical line that is 5 squares and then 2 squares on either side, so it makes a cross. Essentially, you want to have a 5 by 5 cross, and then once you get that, you fill in diagonally with 2 squares, and that is your basic fairy circle done. And then I'm just going in now so I know what parts need to be blank and what needs to be filled in with an item with this mushroom circle. And for me, I'm using the mushroom circle as a guide for where I need to put an object, and the log design is where it needs to be blank. I realized that this tree was blocking the view of the fairy circle, so I decided to pick it up and move it to a different spot. So now, finally decorating the fairy circle, I decided to put down white mush stools because I knew I wanted to put down butterfly models on top of it, and I didn't want there to be too much of a color clash because I knew there'd be colors brought in from the butterfly models. Yeah, I was inspired by Froggy Crossing for this part because I really liked the way that the butterfly models looked on top of the mush stools in her fairy circle, so I wanted to do that too. As I was doing that, I realized that I didn't bring enough mush stools with me for this build, so I quickly ran to my house to grab more. And then while I was there, I also went and grabbed a bunch of other stuff too to help me complete this build. Also, even though I knew that I wanted to put down a fountain in the middle of the fairy circle, I still wasn't 100% sold on the idea yet, and I figured just in case I might like something else, I experimented a little bit, so that's why there's an overlight there right now. And I don't know if I kept it in or not. I did go in and change it a couple of the times into different stuff just to see how it looked and if I liked it a bit better than the actual fountain. And also, I absolutely love the butterflies on top of the mush stools like this. I think it looks really pretty. It definitely makes it a lot more magical and a lot more whimsical. I then decided that there wasn't enough flowers in this area, so I went in and I put a lot more flowers in. So apparently I did actually leave this in, but I went through a Nova Light, a birth bath, the mushroom parasol, and the beautiful statue before I finally was like, okay, it is going to be the fountain for sure. And look how beautiful it looks. I think it looks really lovely. And I then decided to put down some pathway underneath it so that way it kind of also filled out the map. It was mostly just for the map that I did that. I'm also going in and putting in some in-game pathing near the front of the entrance just to help fill it out as well. My favorite way to do in-game pathing in a more natural area is making them into circles. I just feel like it looks really cute and whimsical. I also feel like it helps to break up the ground and it keeps it from not being too linear as well. Another one of my favorite things to do with the circle pathways is to put design codes in it so that way it can look overgrown. It just depends on what design code you use though. I also decided to add these fire flowers to the build. They're from the Mario collection and I think they looked really cute and added a little whimsical touch to it because they sort of just like bob around and everything, so I thought that was really cute. And then I decided again that there wasn't enough flowers, so I decided to go ahead and put all of my pink hyacinths in between the flowers so it looks like the flowers have overgrown in the area and everything. So I thought it looked really cute and I feel like it helps to bring in a lot more color to the area as well. Okay, I admit it, I just really love using flowers in the game because I just love the flowers in Animal Crossing. So you can't blame me for that. Okay, and it doesn't help that my favorite flower in the game are the pink hyacinths. I can't help it. I'm going in and adding in a bunch of design codes just to stop the flowers from breeding and multiplying. And then I also wanted to add something in this bottom corner. At first I thought I'd put the mushroom parasol, but I didn't really like how tall it was. So I put that off to the side and I thought that was a little cute touch. At this point, I was just putting in some final touches like replacing this butterfly model with the aqueous butterfly. I knew I wanted to do it, so I had to actually steal it from another part of my island because on Nukuson those are so expensive. So I was just waiting for Flick to come around, and trying to also catch those is very hard. Besides the point, I decided on putting down a little seating area in the bottom area of the fairy circle with the pie that came with Pie Day and a couple of mushroom stools. Now it's come to time for the final reveal, and I am so happy with how it ended up coming out. I absolutely love it, and it might be one of my new favorite parts of my island. I also absolutely love it during nighttime, and I of course included footage of this area during sunset and at night, so stay tuned for that. But here's just what it looks like. Here's an aerial view just to see what it looks like too. I absolutely love it. And look at this, how stunning. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's probably my favorite area in my island so far. So I'm happy you guys came along to join, and thank you for watching. If you have any ideas of what I should do next on my island, please leave them in the comments below, and I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It would help me out a lot. Have a lovely day or night, everybody. Bye!